Well, after 30 years, here I am with a moose tag in my pocket. It's really gonna be a hunt of relaxation and enjoyment. I wanna get as much out of it as I can because I'll probably never apply for Shiras Moose again. If I do it right, I should get everything I wanted out of it. I've spent enough time here that I know every section of this unit could have a moose in it, from the high country all the way down to the river and creek bottoms. There's one thing I learned from Matthew's moose hunt 4 years ago. It's that when these moose are in these willows, and we're talking like huge expanses of willows, they go and lay down for the day, especially on bright sunny days. Every bull that we saw, or every moose we saw in his hunt was in the first 2 hours in the morning or the last hour in the evening. But what I got to do is go around and mark all of these spots that look like really good locations, because I got to be at these spots at the prime time. So we came down here a few days before season opens, and we're here a few days early scouting. We're going to be paying attention to where's the tracks, the sign. Saw these big tracks going out here in the mud. I was thinking, it's got to be cattle. And I come here and I find this great big moose track with this great big dew claw. And there's no cow that takes a stride this long. I bet you that big old boy's living up here in these Quakies somewhere. I'm gonna find him. The fact that we have such long seasons in Montana, I have blocked out a lot of time for this hunt. And I'm gonna give it 2 weeks of really hard hunting. There's a lot of other things that are kind of working in my favor this year, I think. The fact that I've been able to come here and do some elk hunting before the hunt, I've noticed how dry it is up high. The creeks that are normally very full of water are dry. There's no elk up high, there's no sign up high, and I don't think I'm gonna see any moose up high. They start going away from their summer forages of alder and yew and other things, huckleberries, and they start transitioning their preferred forage to willows. Willows become their preferred forage in late September, early October. Right here's a moose. Right here, right across the creek there. Looks like a cow. There's your boyfriend. Your hubby. That shows you how tall this willow brush is. That moose is probably this high at the shoulder, and it's hidden in there pretty darn good. And wherever the cow moose are, well, that's where the bulls are gonna be when the rut is happening. So in a lot of respects, I would say I'm almost hunting a food pattern. Oh, we got a moose. There's a moose right here. I think we got a cow and a calf here. Yeah, it's a calf. Mama and baby. But we're gonna move along. Peace, baby. I really don't have a set plan for what bull I want to shoot. You know, am I looking for something this big or this wide or whatever? Hopefully I find one. You know, last year the harvest statistic shows that it took 33 hunter days for the 4 tag holders to fill their tags. A little over 8 days per tag that gets filled. But another day, no moose, no bull elk. But we got 6 grouse. At about the same time, Michael and I both say, what's that out there along the shoreline of the lake? Pull up our binos, and it's a bull. He needs about 2 more years. As quick as I looked at him, I could tell, no, I'm not gonna shoot this one. It just wasn't that bull in that situation that excited me. That would have been easy. If he would have been big enough, 100 yards. That's what you would hope for. See you later, Mr. Bull. We gotta go to camp, make some dinner. This moose unit is not a wilderness unit. It's not this high country experience. It has a lot of willows, like you see out here in front of me, and a lot of roads. So you just drive to wherever some point gives you a little elevation, and you just glass, glass, and glass. Get in, drive to the next spot, glass, glass, glass. There's a new motorized travel plan here on the forest, and they've come up with some really impressive ATV trails here for recreation. And when you hear the ATV buzzing down the trail, there's a part of you that says, oh, come on. But it's public land. And so you deal with it. The odds are, if I do shoot one, there's gonna be a road or ATV trail within, no more than a half mile. Well, we came back to camp, it's about 1:30. We spent most of the day looking for moose, and we knew the forecast said the wind was gonna pick up 30 plus miles an hour, and up on the ridges, it's every bit of that. Still got about another, I don't know, hour, maybe hour and a half of daylight. Let me go check some other spots. We went back to a spot where we'd seen that cow and the calf. Dale says, I hear something down in the bottom there. We can hear something kind of like raking and grunting down in the dark timber here. If he's calling and raking, maybe we can get him to respond. Let's go down in there and see. It's this great big bend in the river that has willows and some lodgepole and some little spring creeks coming through it. And you could hear a little bit of noise, like what was that? And then you hear, whoa. And so you'd try to get the wind in your favor and you'd move over to where you thought he last was. And then you'd hear him back off to the side of you. Whoa. Whoa. It's so thick, we never got a look at him. And then finally he just shut up. And so I told the guys, let's keep that one on our list, because if he's down in there and we saw that cow and the calf there the day before, maybe this is kind of a place he prefers. So we go back there the next morning. I mean, that's the logical thing to do, right? If you leave a bull in the evening, you go look for him the next morning. And in that low light, I look out there and I'm like, there's something in those willows that doesn't look right. So I pull up my binos and I see antlers and a moose walking through these super tall willows.
I gotta go get my rifle. A bull just stood up right where in that meadow we left him in last night.
And so I'm grabbing my pack and my rifle and come back, and when we get there, no moose. He's now somehow disappeared into those willows.
Against my better judgment, we're going down in there.
Did some calling, did some raking, no response. So we hit it really hard. I mean, we went to every point we could possibly think of, covered every batch of willows.
Looking and looking. To the next spot, look some more. Go to the next spot, look some more.
When they say that the moose numbers are low density, I agree. We did not see a moose. As kind of a last shot, I thought, well, maybe we'll go up high with fresh snow. You know, there's 4 or 5 inches of snow way up high. Maybe the bulls are still up there and they haven't quite dropped down where the cows are. If I saw a fresh track, maybe I'll jump on the track and follow it out or whatever. Didn't see anything other than some mule deer. We gotta wrap it up today. We gotta get home. So we didn't get a moose yet. Season's open for another 2 months, more than 2 months. I don't know how long it's gonna take to do this moose hunt, but I'm gonna keep doing it until I fill the tag. Got a couple days, maybe this week I might come up. Arlando's coming up from California in October. So this hunt was kind of planned to be chopped up into segments and pieces. I came up here a few days before the opener, which was September 15th. And then I went to Wyoming. While I was down there, I got some really bad news about my mom. 2 days after her birthday, she got diagnosed with a very aggressive form of lung cancer. So I had to start juggling my calendar and know that there's nothing that I'm gonna do related to hunting, related to this job I have that is gonna cause me to not be with my mom when she needs me. My brother lives within an hour of my mom, and my sister has already flown back. And I told him I have this one commitment, and as quick as mom's tests are done, I'll be back there. So she's completing her last test tomorrow. And then I'm gonna get on an airplane and fly back, and I don't know how long I'm gonna be there. I know that it's possible that my season gets canceled.
You see him every once in a while. Right now she's in a shorter batch of willows, and she just lifted her head, and I can just see her big old ears like, these willows sure are good.
And I thought, well, 1 cow moose could bring in 1 bull moose. we'd just go to this spot, and if there's a little point out in the river, we'd glass up and down for 20 minutes, get in the truck, drive up to the next point. These points might be 1 or 2 or 3 miles apart. Arlando came all the way up here from California. He said, "I'm going to bring you some good luck, Randy."
Sure did.
So I thought anybody who's going to come up here, tag along on a moose hunt for the last 3 days and bring me good luck, the least I can do is make them some coffee. But I forgot to bring him a coffee cup.
Hey, but at least we're having some Big Hank's coffee. Get you some.
Oh, I thought you were going to do it and use promo code Randy to save some money.
Oh, I should have, yeah. Use promo code Randy to save some money.
For me, this journey started 2016, and I was at a really low point in my life, and coincidentally, I'm watching YouTube, and what do you know, I see Randy and Bart May hunting black bears in Alaska. I'm on the couch and I'm thinking to myself, I can do this. For me, it was 100% about the benefit of my mental health and my physical health as well. In the process of doing that, I luckily got an email from Randy, and we started going back and forth. It was his great idea that I come up and shoot some black bears with him while he's hunting for moose. The fact that I was gonna be shooting a bear with the person who got me inspired on shooting a bear, I was elated.
So when Arlando arrived in Montana, I told him the situation with my mom and that these would be my last 3 days of moose hunting.
And if you know me, family is #1 important. We drive to go get my tag. And what do you know? The machines are down. In my head, I'm thinking, this is a sign. I was so content with not feeling the bear tag. I was using my third eye right here to focus on getting Randy a moose.
And that's just remarkable that somebody would put themselves in my shoes and kind of forego what was going to be their experience for the benefit of me.
Came to a new spot for our morning glass. We've never glassed from here in the morning. Duck hunters.
I was gonna say, you never heard it hit.
The crew thought, Dale and Arlando thought maybe we had a moose hunter who just shot a moose. This is a really popular waterfowl area.
Me, Arlando, Dale, we were in my truck and we just went to some of the places. When you see us glassing, you're gonna think, well, they keep glassing in these same places. Everything looks familiar. And yeah, that's the case. There's some main rivers here and some pretty big creeks, and the willows growing next to those are the places where you go and look.
I see a lot of things in the early shadows of the day that look like moose.
Second glassing spot, nothing. The third glassing spot, there's a whole bunch of elk just out there playing and wallowing and having all kinds of fun.
A really nice bull elk with his cows right out in front of us, a couple 100 yards. Found a nice bull elk. Wish we could find a nice bull moose to go with him. He's probably upset that his cows decided to take off running. They were down here feeding in this little opening here. Did you hear him bugling? Yeah, he's got himself a group of cows there. He's trying to figure out, how do I keep them moving the direction I want them to move? I got news for you, buddy. You aren't in control of the situation.
It wasn't until I went to Wyoming and I got immersed in the culture of hunting that I said to myself, I want to make this a bigger deal than just me getting out there and hunting. And that's when I started Campfire Evolution, where I really wanted to get people out there who are just like me into the outdoors. The next couple of years, I was planning a bear hunt in Montana. That was actually one of the first hunts I wanted to complete.
Arlando was planning that hunt. He'd reached out to me on email, and I was excited to know that a new hunter wanted to come to Montana and hunt black bears, and he had kind of planned it out, and he said, well, what do you think of this spot? I said, well, I think it's a good spot. There's a lot of bears up there.
It wasn't up until I got into the mountains that I started feeling like maybe this isn't a good place for me. And there was just some characters I was hanging around that were making it unpleasant. My grandma would always tell me these stories about her uncles not making it back from hunting. And she was always so afraid every time I went out hunting, so much she made sure that I checked in with her. I never understood why she felt this way. I mean, until that experience in Montana, I was having nothing but pleasant experiences, making nothing but friends.
And he had a very negative experience with some locals who made it very clear that they didn't want a black guy hunting up here. And as he relayed the story to me, it pissed me off to no end.
I was afraid for my life, and I got the hell out of Dodge. I wasn't sure how to communicate this for Randy because, you know, at the end of the day, I love Montana, and I wanted to be here. I just didn't feel like I belonged.
When Arlando said that he wanted to come up to Montana again and just see a different part of the state, do something different, I was very excited to have him come and join me because I wanted to show him that, you know, the beautiful places that we have here, these public lands are for everybody. And the experience that he'd had was not the experience that's representative of what Montana is and who Montanans are. We know that we end up having a migration of our Shiras Moose from the higher country to lower or mid elevations. And getting footage of them or even getting a shot at one of them proved to be just very, very difficult. So random, so much a function of luck and happenstance. And I'm just buzzing down the road and the sun's in my windshield and it's morning sun. I'm like, and Dale taps me on the shoulder. He's like, hey, stop, stop. There's a moose back there. I back up. Sure enough, right out my window over there's a big old cow moose just looking around, doing her thing.
Whoa.
And so we pulled the truck off to the side and snuck over there, and I started grunting and calling and acting goofy just to see if I could hear a bull nearby.
Just hanging out, not even worrying about us. I was like, this is gonna happen quick. Well, there was no bulls in the area.
20 yards.
We saw our first moose right over the ridge.
There you go. Good thing the camera guy is paying attention, because if Dale wasn't looking out my window, I would have just kept right on driving.
There's a bull right over there.
Next ridge.
She went towards the bull, letting us know there's a bull over there.
Next ridge.
Next ridge.
Okay.
Guaranteed. Or your money back.
Or my money back. It's crazy. And what that showed me is how random this is. You get in the truck and you're driving down a Forest Service road and there's one out your window.
I think we got a good game plan.
You think so?
Well, there's a bull moose in here somewhere. If I was that bull moose, I wouldn't be too far from the cow.
No, not this time of year. Dale promised me that up here, where that you get closer to the river by the road, is where we'll find him.
We're walking to different areas, checking different glassing spots, but no bulls, no nothing. It's okay, we're heading back down. We see a grouse. I've never seen a grouse in person, just quail.
Arlando. Male rough grouse.
That's what I'm talking about.
So it wasn't a complete loss.
But the day was over. We had a couple more hours of glassing, but for the most part, we were heading back.
I'm losing any faith that I know anything about moose hunting. In fact, I think I know more about speaking Russian than I do Shiras moose hunting. But you gotta just try. What else you do? I don't want to say I felt pressure that I gotta shoot a moose, but I wanted to shoot a moose. I obviously won for the meat. The last moose I shot in Canada, I brought back and shared with the crew, and they just love moose meat just like I do. But the other part of it is, with the uncertainty of what my mom's situation is, I knew I wasn't gonna get to come back and hunt moose anymore. Taking a moose or filling that tag somehow was just something I wanted to do. I really can't explain why it meant more to me to fill this moose tag than possibly any other tag I've had in many years. So we woke up the second morning. We go to the first glassing point, and I'm like, here we go again. Nothing. All right, ready to go find one around the corner there, Arlando?
We'll probably find them on the drive there.
That's probably the truth. Go to the second glassing point. Here we go again. Nothing. Go to the third glassing point, and there's some elk. And I'm looking at the elk, and Dale yells to me, he's like, hey, there's a moose coming out of the willows towards the elk. And here's a young bull walking towards the elk, and the elk just take off on a beeline.
Clear as day, there's this bull moose hanging out, walking around, and I'm just like, this is gonna happen.
Well, all of a sudden he takes off to the left, and he goes out of view. So I'm gonna go up to the next spot, see if I can call him closer. He was out here, and he came off the private down into the public, but now he's going up that way like he's got a cow or something that interests him. So we jump in the truck and we drive up to this spot that's between where we saw the moose and the previous glassing spot. Sure enough, there's the bull standing out there on the right side of these willows and a cow on the left side. Ugh. 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 He's 160 yards away, of which about 120 of that is on private. There's hardly any private land here. And wouldn't you know, that's where he's at. If they come this way, 100 yards, they're on public. They got a contractor working on their property over there. He jumps in his front end loader and he fires it up. Beep, beep, beep.
Well, those moose got the hell out of Dodge.
Well, you gotta be kidding me. Sure enough, they walk right across the river, and as they get to that bank, they're pretty much on public. The downside is we gotta make this big loop to get out in front of them, and the willows are so tall, and we don't have any elevation, nothing.
We tried to relocate the moose, and that was probably when my heart dropped. So I was like, man, we had it. And here it is, we lost it.
Must have made it up into these trees. So I told the guys, let's just beeline back to the truck and let's make this big loop about 3/4 of a mile back to the one glassing spot. Park the truck, walk over to the left. And there's the bull without his cow.
And I'm just sitting there excited. And he's playing with us because he's just walking from side to side and he's teasing us because he was on private. And I think he knew he was on private.
This is the spot we glassed from this morning. If we would have stayed right here, of course, I don't know if they would have came this way. Maybe we were bumping them and that's why they came this way, but they must have walked right out into those trees. Mercy. And the three of us are standing there trying to figure out what to do.
But it wasn't until we realized he didn't have his cows with him. And then we got to thinking, maybe we can call him over.
How about I just give a really whine, just as bad of a whiny noise as I can make. And I do that, and Arlando says, I hear him grunting over there.
I guess Randy was that cow he was looking for, because that moose came on a beeline straight towards us.
No, can't be, but it can be. But this time, we're in a much better situation, because if he comes across the river, we got all public. If he comes our direction, we got lots of public. I mean, almost a half mile that way and about a mile that way. And I told the guys, if he crosses this river, I'm shooting that moose.
And again, my heart started pumping. I was excited. He was getting closer and closer.
And he does. He walks across the river and just, whoa, whoa. He's only 200 yards around the corner. And I look over at Arlando and he's like, just go, go kill that thing.
Randy and Dale are like, all right, let's go. And I'm like, nope, I'm not going nowhere. The last time I came with you guys, we lost the moose. I'm gonna sit right here in case this moose comes back this way. You guys go and shoot him.
There's this big bench and we get there and there's this little draw that goes down to where I thought he'd be coming up. I'm looking for him, I don't see him. I look over to my right and there's this really dark thing standing in these thick trees. Damn, it's right there. I can't get a shot. So I move to my left about 5 yards. And Dale's looking at me like, where is he? I'm like, come right over my shoulder. He's right here. And he jumps up. Anyone who shot an animal and know you hit it low in the chest where the heart is, you know that response. And that's what he did. And he walks up 10 yards, maybe 12 yards to these trees, starting to do the I'm not feel good disco. And he lays down.
And all of a sudden, I hear a shot. I was full of excitement. Thought to myself, well, I better grab my Mystery Ranch backpack and start loading some meat.
A lot went through my mind right then. Seeing that moose expire and knowing that this hunt is done, I've been lucky I've shared it with some amazing people. You know, I'm gonna go home and then I'm getting on an airplane and going back to be with my mom and my siblings.
Those of you who still have your moms, and those of you who maybe have lost your moms, know the closeness that comes with a relationship with your mother. And I'm the optimist. I'll admit it's been weighing on my mind heavily, but I'm optimistic that she'll get through it.
And I walk up and I see this moose laying there. Wow, I'm glad this happened because this was so important for me, for Randy to get this moose. Montana has so much to offer you guys. Go get yourself a bow, go get yourself a rifle, go get yourself some hiking boots. Whatever the case may be, you don't have to be a hunter. You don't have to be a meat eater even. There are so many mushrooms and morels in these mountains that you can go foraging for days and get the same adventure that I just got.
Whether it's a new friend, a new person I've been around like Arlando, or it's my crew that I've been around for years, my wife who she's so supportive because she knows how much I love being out here. I could list off so many blessings I have in my life of people who it just becomes more apparent when you have to start thinking about things differently. And every time I think about this hunt, that's what I'm going to think about, is the amazing people that are part of my life.